This is a meeting of the Salem County Improvement Authority. It's Monday, September 23rd, 2013. It is 5 p.m. and we're in the lower level of the football building. Luke Stamps, pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Notice of this meeting has been provided to the public in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act by publication in the South Jersey Times and the Elmer Times newspapers circulated in Salem County by posting notice in the Salem County Clerk's Office. Copies of the board minutes and video of this meeting are posted on SCIANJ.com. I'll remind everyone that we're being filmed and this will be on the air tomorrow sometime, right?
2 days.
2 days? Okay, Solid Waste Division, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped the notes. Entertained motion.
Roll call.
Roll call.
John Over,
Yes.
Pete Burris.
Here.
Bob Whitfield.
Here.
Lee Snyder.
Here.
Ron Howard.
Okay, now the minutes. Entertained motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Your second. Any discussion on the motion? Move second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Solid Waste Division, tab 2. There we go.
Good evening, everyone. How's everybody? Good. Well, obviously. Everyone has my written report in front of you for review, and you also have my statistical charts that show you landfill tonnage per month and total landfill, leachate, gallons per month, and cover material. You have revenue and also tonnage on the landfill. Does anyone have any questions about any of those charts or my written report?
A little one.
Yeah, oh good, I like little ones.
On the Miller Welding, it says that the solicitor collected it this past month.
Yes, we got a check, $96.
And it was supposed to be $96.33, so the 33 cents, I don't know what happened to that 33 cents, but
Yeah, he must have forgotten about the 33 cents. My suggestion is we forget about that.
I think we might.
I'm asking my question that I've asked every month for a while, is there was no interest on it? From 2006, it's free money?
It's what
Do you loan any? Do you loan any?
There was no
I think so.
interest charge accrued by this board until last year.
Is that right?
2 years ago.
Never heard.
I'm sorry, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
So you only have 2 years of interest? Should have?
It was never.
But you couldn't get interest on that if the debt was occurred before you
Exactly.
put the law in.
Yeah, I can't put it in.
Right, I can't.
It was already frozen.
It was 2 years, it might have been 3 years ago,
No,
but
The account was already
I
closed
know
at that point.
because we instituted that.
Well, it's a good move.
But those old bills, and let's face it, when they have a couple $1,000 old bills, I mean, really, it's, I don't know, it's worth 5 minutes talking about it, you know? Okay, okay, I'm sorry. Any other questions of the landfill manager?
I just want to make sure you're aware that I did deposit that into my trust account, so it's still going to, it's pending the check
Right.
clearing, which I'm sure, assuming it will, but just keep that in mind.
Oh.
Hopefully it will.
While we're at it, do we ever find that there's a guy in Elmer, right, or Pittsgrove?
The other lawsuit,
A couple $100?
right?
Farms.
I'm sorry, BJ
Farms.
BJ Farms. That's right. No, I've not found him.
Lou, you knew that, who's somebody here knew that guy, right?
Bob,
Bob, do you know him?
Yeah, it's names and numbers in the phone book. I looked all 3 of them.
Really?
Make an interest on the trust fund?
I'm sorry?
Make an interest on that money in the trust fund?
No, not on my account, no. For the week or so?
So you're saying the guy from BJ Farms is in the phone book and we should just open the phone
If
book?
you say it's Frank Beitinger, and
Yes.
it's
Okay.
yes, Frank Beitinger 1, 2, and 3. I think this one says 2.
Okay, that's interesting, we can get
I
that
don't
one.
think we'll have that before.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, without objection, I'll
Thank you.
order the report received and filed. Hearing no objections, so ordered. Next item is approval of engineer's report. Have the engineer's report?
Yes, good evening. Jeff Winiger from TNM Associates filling in for Dave Bunyan tonight. His mom passed away. Quick, she was sick for a very long time, so she passed away yesterday. I believe you received it's in your packet, the engineer's report. Any questions? A couple highlights in the report. I know recently we had our pre-construction meeting on the leachate storage tank number 2 on September 5th. And the notice to proceed is next Monday, September 30th, 180-day contract with TKT Construction.
Again, we just signed the contract, so that should be, an order. Now just gotta pray for a little nice weather for a little while and get it in the ground, right?
Yes.
How long before we get it in the ground? I mean, really the main thing is the concrete, right?
Yes, well, the concrete, of course, the starter ring for the outside tank, it's a double containing tank. We need that out of the factory first, and then they could
Yeah, set that.
set that. But there's a lot of site work done, that has to be done first. A lot of force main installation, which is all the subgrade underground work first.
Okay.
So I have a question on the
Yes.
page 2 on the groundwater protection program. It says survey of the newly installed wells is required within 60 days. Who does that survey?
Okay,
You guys or is it?
Surveys done by Sickles, when we
Sickles,
award our
Sickles and
topos
Associates.
for topo and survey.
Any other questions?
On the pre-construction meeting minutes, there was a survey layout from bottom of page 1. TNM will verify the benchmarks. Is there a permanent benchmark on the site?
Yes, there is.
So it's an easy verification.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's another thing we did a few years back.
Oh,
We
and
had 2 benchmarks.
are as-built required?
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, we had 2 benchmarks, right? We had to correct it once the new system,
Yes, you went to the new datum, the 8388.
they were different.
Yes,
But still gotta be acknowledged in the report, or something to state.
yes.
Okay, any other questions of the engineer? Hearing none, without objection, I'll order the report received and filed. Hearing no objections, so ordered. Okay, next item, resolution authorizing transfer of funds. Okay, you
I'll
see
make that motion.
what number is this?
70.
70. Okay, motion, to hear a second? I'll second it. Move to second, any question on the motion? Yes, sir.
On the last one, the tire recycling to wetlands engineer. Why not just an internal with an engineer?
We're still evaluating where we are gonna be with the end of the year for landfill engineer, construction engineer, and the leftover balance for the topo is likely going to be used in part for the survey, so we don't have an estimate on that yet. So after-
Horizontal expansion engineer?
Yeah, a lot of that is contracted for some or not, those funds. So after Melinda and I conferred as to the best way to do the transfer, it was to be off of a line item that we knew would not need to be retransferred into by the end of the year.
It just looks like a lot of money left over in it by the August.
And there may be, but quite frankly, we're still evaluating where we're gonna be at the end of the year with all those. And for that horizontal engineer, that is a contracted amount that has been issued for some of the money.
And clearly, you're not gonna use the money out of tire recycling, right?
Not at all.
Okay, those are moved and seconded. Any other questions on the motion? Moved and seconded, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's that one. Approval of solid waste division bills. Let's see, where's that one at? Did I miss it? No, I got it. Okay, the bills total $644,975.55. The payment of checks and bills amount $52,360.62. for approval electronic payment. There was no handwritten bills. I entertain a motion to approve the bills.
I'll move that motion.
Is there a second?
I have a question first.
Yep.
Jesco is who? That's the big one here?
That's our BOMEG. That's the
Okay.
maintenance contract with BOMEG.
And the Hardenberg insurance, is that the final?
Yeah, that's the final workers' comp payment
Need
installment.
a second.
Before we go into
discuss
Right,
it.
yeah. Why don't we get a second before we,
Second.
okay, move to second. Any more questions? I asked the first question was the 35,000 for, that was for the pickup trucks. Okay, moving to second. All those in favor, signify, any more questions on the motion? Hearing none, moving to second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Economic Development Division.
I'll be giving the other.
Okay, that's right.
Our Economic Development Director is on vacation this week. You do have his report, which was included in the board packet. Just a couple things I want to point out to you. There is a Pascal Sykes an Economic Initiative meeting tomorrow morning that we will be participating in. That organization has contracted with 2 vendors to assist in that process. They have not indicated yet what the dollar value of the Economic Initiative to the 3-county region will be, but that's why we're continuing to work with them. The other thing that is active and underway is Gateway Water Tower. Antennas are starting to be anchored onto the water tower at this point in time. You remember that's about a 2-year-old project that the County of Salem wanted done. We also received several inquiries this past week. One was from Select Greater Philly. It was a site selection survey for which we provided information on the DRBA business park because they're looking to partner with an existing call center. And the second is from another entity up in the North Jersey, Bergen County area on workplace housing for Eastern Salem County. They're looking for sites to co-locate some workplace housing, which also goes by the name affordable housing in some instances. And happy to answer any questions
Say that last part again. They are inquiring.
about locating a site in Salem County to build and construct workplace housing,
What's that code word for?
affordable housing.
Okay.
And where do you direct them?
Well, in those cases, we call through the municipal sites and municipal plans that have plans. And if there's a municipality that has a COA approved plan, then those sites are given to them.
Infamous COA.
Okay, any questions on the economic development update? Hearing none, without objection, I'll order the report received and filed. Here are no objections, so ordered. Next item is consultants report. Economic development, Phil?
All right, well, just to give you a brief on the strategic plan, we've had 3 input session meetings. We have the information from those meetings. I thought they kept getting better each time with our new reports, more people opened up. And our next meeting we have when Jim comes back on October 2nd to start outlining the plan, so the initial draft of that. So that's where we stand.
Do you think the input was better this time around than last time around?
Oh, absolutely. The last time it was more static, where we sent information out to mayors and we got things back. This time it was very participatory, and people threw out ideas, there was a lot of dialogue back and forth, so we drilled down into a lot more deeper issues. So good cross-section of different types of businesses, larger businesses, and then small, mom and pop type businesses giving us input. So a lot of good insights. Tourism came through really heavily at this. I didn't realize how the support for tourism is out there.
Imagine that.
Yeah. So it's something we need to think
What,
about.
when you say well-attended, can I get a ballpark?
Do we have the numbers?
Yeah, we had out at our first effort, which was in Woodstown, we had about 14 attendees. Now, we wanted to keep them, 15 to 20, so it was manageable. Here at Salem City was a little bit smaller group. There was only 9 there. However, I think the quality of the input at that session was better. And then out at Elmer, I think the number's around 22. I'll get you the firm numbers of it.
A bunch of people in Elmer, maybe that?
It wasn't just Elmer.
Yeah.
These were,
Pittsburgh,
this was sent out to all the businesses in the entire county. and others.
Just the location.
And then we gave them the locations, and they signed up for what
Yeah,
we
if the
was
date
gonna
worked for them, I think.
Yeah, I attended Elmer, and there were people from Salem.
Yeah,
They got the,
LAC.
LAC, yep.
Mhm.
So it was well attended, and it was a great job.
So you said the tourism was the hot button?
Yeah, it seemed, I don't care what kind of business you were from, tourism was something they really felt.
All the businesses were upset
Take
that the
advantage of.
freeholders, the tourism, they're really upset about it. Wanna get it brought back.
Agritourism was a new concept I
Yeah,
never
right.
thought about, maybe come
Well,
down.
that's,
Stay on a farm for a night, maybe,
but if you have a preserved
milk
farm,
cows,
can you
feed
rent,
chickens.
if you have a preserved farm, can you rent out space in your house as a,
I don't know, it's something we want to look into, what the law
You
will
can't.
allow.
and you can't?
But if you've
Probably.
carved off a property,
Huh?
if you've carved off a lot,
Well, yeah, but no one thought about it, and it's very
Maybe they have a
interesting.
guest room or something.
And the suggestion for tourism were, I mean, it's one thing to have some
Promote
pie
it,
in the sky
market,
idea, another thing to have something
There's a
to.
lot of things in terms of more that the county could do in terms of promoting and coordinating and paving the way for more things.
they felt the events that have been coordinated so far, like across the county, the Arts in Bloom was an example, or the garden tours and stuff, that there could be a significant opportunity for more of those types of events, because it really did seem to draw foot traffic into the smaller businesses. whether
We
it
learned
was
that Sundays
furniture.
is a big day. People will come down from New York and North Jersey and Maryland and Lancaster County to come to Salem County on a Sunday. So
Yeah,
we need to
you know, a lot of people
be
come
prepared for that.
to buy lamb and goat and all. Yeah, a lot of that. Very interesting.
So, I mean, we got some information on how some other areas did it. I think that was useful. Other areas in Virginia and Maryland, how they're promoting tourism. So.
Okay, any questions, further questions? Hearing none, without objection, I'll order the report received and filed. Hearing no objections, so ordered. Next, we have the bills, I guess.
Motion to pay the bills?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, moved and second. Any question on the motion? Moved and second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Number 72?
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. I should be signing them. Nursing home division report.
This
We
is,
got 2 hours on that.
no,
It's a landmark, right?
you're gonna be,
It used to be 2 hours.
quite surprising. This is not a typo on the resolution for the bill list. We are moving in the direction of officially dissolving the nursing home. We've had one conversation with the state, and we'll be following up in another week. So at this point in time, we still have the operating account for the nursing home, which is still alive and active. However, the bills and the funds, because the county freeholders paid the bill to the Salem County Improvement Authority for the benefits before the check was due to the state, all went through the solid waste division.
All right.
They paid it in, put it in as a deposit, and out it went. So thank you guys very much for that, appreciate it.
So you're going to be able to close the division for
We
next year's
believe
budget?
that at the end of this year, the DCA and local government will agree to close the division entirely.
Motion to approve the resolution.
What is it?
Is there something to
Not to
approve?
pay.
Huh?
There's really no action to take,
No
because there's
action
no
needed?
bill.
Yeah, I was gonna
You
say.
can vote
I
against the
just
report.
wanted to bring that out to you guys.
Okay, executive committee, we have a meeting with, well, we met on the pay consideration for the executive director. Ron is not here. We were prepared to make a report, but obviously he's not here, so hold off till the next meeting. There was a couple more things we need to bring up to date. We're scheduling a meeting with Alloway. When is that meeting scheduled?
They're gonna look for the second week of October.
Okay. Budget 2014, we've had our work session on that. The strategic plan, we just discussed the time frame of that. And hopefully we will be finishing that up in October. So that's all on that. Note. Personnel committee, Ron is not here. Can you?
Certainly can. Bob, Ron, and Casey and I did meet on September 17th, and we did discuss the landfill supervisor. To keep you posted on that, the final first and second round interviews for that position are being done this week. We will be completed with that. We will look to bring to the board 2 final applicants for final interviews. We do have 4 highly qualified candidates And I think at the end of this week, we'll be able to plug it down to 2. There were a number, obviously, that needed to be screened out, and we are no longer accepting applications for that. The cross-training with our landfill supervisor is ongoing. He is continuing to prepare a weekly transition plan of his activities and standard operating procedures, and that is being submitted weekly. We did talk just briefly, because most of the discussion occurred at the budget meeting, that the accountant / finance officer, we're preparing the bookkeeper position description, so we can post both the finance officer and bookkeeper position and see what we get the most interest in. Our temporary equipment operator, Mr. Van Totter, has started back to work on September 10th. Staffing issues, we did discuss the attendance of one of our operators. We discussed the HR coordinator's upcoming leave of absence and the cross-training that's going on in the office relative to that. And we did discuss that we do have staffing requests that are, again, included in the 2014 budget for 1 full-time equipment operator and 1 full-time laborer. Policy and procedures manual will be in the board's hands by the 30th. There are some reviews that are going on, still has to go through final legal, final risk management, and final, what I call the specialty folks. We're having the drug and alcohol policy looked at by our drug and alcohol folks. We're having our payroll policy looked at by payroll. So that'll be a significant change that'll be forthcoming from that.
Now, is it the risk manager that's looking this over, Bonnie, Rich?
Actually, we're gonna probably send it up to statewide. We're meeting with statewide.
Okay, because she's our risk management
Yes.
consultant.
Yeah, that's who we'll send it to.
I didn't know why policies and procedures would go to her, but statewide would be good.
Well, statewide, it's a little bit different than the Tri-County JIF, where you're required by the Tri-County JIF to have a policy and procedures manual, but they will actually require that we submit a copy to them so they know it's done. Our view is let them have some input into it, because if they don't like what they see, they're just gonna come back and make us change it anyway. So we're a new customer of theirs, might as well get their input.
And the safety manual is going to Paycheck?
Yeah, Paychex actually has prepared all of the safety manuals for this organization. Yep, lock, stock, and barrel. Again, it's a little generic for our taste, so they will update it in accordance with OSHA compliance standards. And then it's free of charge, given the pay services that we have for them. And then it'll be given to Lynn, and he will update that before he retires.
Okay, any questions on that report? Hearing none, I'll, without objection, order the report received and filed. I hear no objections, so ordered. Innovation and technology.
Well, this sounds like a repeat, but I was not able to be at the meeting, so I'll prefer that.
Well, it's working, right?
It is working, and it is working very well. We're experiencing a few delays. We are, and just completed on Friday, a complete upgrade of our Edmunds database to Pervasive. Again, that was a free upgrade that needed to get done because of the network changeover we did. Now that we have gotten through that hurdle, we are again upgrading to 2013 Office and Windows 8 dummy down version to Windows 7. And after that is complete, we will be merging our domains. We still have the 2 domains out there. The old SCIA domain is alive and active, along with the SCIA domain, and it is creating a little bit of a interference with us in terms of our processing time. So we will be putting to bed that SCIA domain. After that's done, everything else is, an automatic pilot. We are communicating flawlessly without using that cell phone tower, though. It has really worked well getting our equipment off of that.
Okay, so where are we at? Oh, yeah, I skipped one. Solid Waste Committee.
Highlighting some items made in the annual topographical survey completed, the groundwater protection plan update is complete. We've got the 2 work trucks on the state contract, that's complete. The Dixie chopper mower is complete. Pulling of the roll-off containers is complete, and analytical testing is complete.
How about the overflight? When is that scheduled?
For TOFA?
Yeah.
It's done in March every year.
March, that's right, yeah, I can late.
You have to do it after the trees are defoliated and before.
Right. Okay, any questions? Hearing none, without objection, order the report received and filed. Hearing no objections, so ordered. Executive Director's report.
Okay, thank you very much. Tab number 6 is my report, which you should have received earlier today, and I'm sorry for not getting it out to you sooner, but there was a number of things arriving on Friday that I wanted to make sure I had the chance to update you on. You've already heard about the state health benefits payment for September, which was received. The October invoice will be due October 10th. 2010, 2011 Medicaid adjustments that were recently turned over to us from the new owners of the nursing home have confirmed they were already posted to the Quick Care accounting system, so there was no need to make an adjustment on that. Our final numbers are included in my report as to what will be due and owed back to Golden Nursing Home from the 2006 and the 2010 audit. Solid Waste Division, you've already heard from both the engineer and also our division manager. We will expect to get our new loader in sometime this week. So that will be the last of our capital equipment purchases for this year. We are discussing curtailment of disposal of materials on the top of cells 1 through 7. I was up there again on Friday, and to say it's a very tiny, tiny footprint at the top of the landfill is an understatement. So we will be looking well before the end of this year to curtail normal operations at the top of that hill, tarp some of it, leave some of it for a laydown area, and use only cell number 8 for our disposal site. That will then also create a little bit of additional traffic for cell number 8, which we're trying to find a workaround for right now while we construct cell number 9. So there's a little bit of an operational challenge we have coming up. From the DEP, we have heard nothing on odor violation, although we do understand our inspector is going to be scheduled to come back, so we hope to close the loop with her on that. And I sent off a third response request for meeting to our landfill inspector from our NOV, copy of his boss's boss, and our 3rd legislative district asking for that meeting now.
I can't believe he didn't respond from his boss.
He has not been anywhere, has he, Linda? He hasn't been anywhere. And
But his
he-
boss, you haven't heard a response from his boss.
Hasn't-
Unbelievable.
It's kind of like he evaporated a little bit. He hasn't been here for his August inspection either. So
August?
September inspection,
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
So he's only got a couple more days for that. Gateway Business Park, I talked to you about the water tower biennial inspection. We're still waiting for the County of Sound to give us a response on the biennial certification, which is due before the end of the year. It does have to be done, as I said at the last meeting, before the ground freezes. The deadline was August 15th. We sent the request to the county in April. So
Did
that's
Dale
still pending.
get back to you on that?
I've received nothing on it.
We got a freeholder here, so we'll ask you about it when you're done.
The regional sewer project, there's been no activity since the last report. The engineers are still pending a meeting with the DEP on the wetlands delineation. I'll give you an update on the technology. The 2 desktops for the scale house are still in the process of being installed, and we'll have 3 more desktops installed before the end of the year. On the county matters, we did receive the $20,000 check payment for the June 1st lease payment, which was from the bond administration fees. That was an action item from the last meeting. And I did check as of today for the 2012 audit that has still not been received nor posted at the county's website. And the default notice has been filed by the trustee, U.S. Bank, on that matter. Invoices for the debt service payments coming due in October and November have been forwarded over to the CFO and clerk of the board for payment. We received those notices as courtesy because we are indeed the bonding agency. We have no corrective action items to be reported to the board for our audit this year and this month. The budget, I am moving forward on evaluating a few additional line items. Jeff Winiger and I had a discussion earlier today about our solid waste permit fee, which, remember, was in play because we were uncertain what the new calculations were going to be. I will be making an adjustment to that line item. The calculation is a little over $101,000 for that 5-year permit.
What do we do?
We had no idea. We paid $40,000 the last time.
I think it was budgeted at 60.
And we put it up to 60 in anticipation of there being, an increase, but it's close for the fee schedule to be $101,000 to renew that permit. You run a landfill, they're going to get the money, unfortunately. I am also in discussion with the auditor, so we get a final budget document together for the board for October introduction. What I would say is if there are any further conversations, recommendations, changes that you feel need to be made to that budget, I would like to have them no later than the end of next week. Okay? It's not to say we can't make changes, but we're moving forward with that. I already provided an update on the HR items. There is a list on the last page of upcoming events and meetings that are going on. We have had a little bit of activity in OPA requests. We did have 7 OPA requests. 6 were as a result of the leachate tank project. 1 was just a result of some old information. And we do have 1 OPA request pending, again, back on the AET project. Any questions?
I have, back on the nursing home. So originally, Medicaid overpaid the county us they thought $269,000. We appealed that, and how's that appeal process take place? You say, look, I want you to relook at your numbers.
They didn't overpay us. The rates were set at the time the nursing home was being operated, okay, whether it be by the county or us. The Medicaid entities will go in and they will make a rate adjustment every year, okay? Those rates then are adjusted when they do their audits. So in 2006, the 2006 year, that audit was just getting done in 2010 when we owned the home. They went back and evaluated information that was provided, what the rates were for those years in between the last audit and the current audit, and they say at this point in time, that number was a lot higher. It was almost a $600,000 bill, $500,000 bill, that overpayment was made. They then actually will withhold that payment and those funds from the owner of the facility at that point in time as a corrective action. You have the opportunity with them to appeal. So
Providing additional data.
you provide additional information. They say, well, here, you were charging $100 per hour per the physician, and our rates only say you should charge $90. And we say, no, our bill showed it was $90. You were wrong in your calculation. Or the rate adjustment did not go into effect on the day that you cited. There was a number of additional documents we were able to get in concert with the county for that time period, and additional documents we were able to provide to the auditor to reconcile those fees. So that withholding that started out at $500,000 for just the 2006 audit is now been worked down to $269 for both the 2006 and the 2010 audit.
And then it's been reduced again to $133, you're saying?
It's appealed further beyond that because there was some additional residence information that we were able to provide to them through a release through HIPAA.
All right, so it's just not a matter of saying, hey, appeal this, and then they just make you a better offer. All right, you had to provide some documentation to get there.
Yeah, we spent, for those of you that were here, we spent a considerable amount of time with the Lancaster group, kind of evaluating whether it was worth it to appeal the audit. And given the magnitude of those audits, it was decided to be in both the county and the Improvement Authority's best interest to appeal them. There was a fair amount of legwork done by the county finance office at that time in our office to get that information together. We would like it to be nothing, but obviously they have a right to change their rates, and when they change their rates, they're going to go back and get you for that.
If you have 3 hours sometime, I give you a little primer on that. It's hocus pocus, and no one can explain it properly, but it's not an exact science. But
Certainly it's been reduced. You're telling me the 269 is only half of the original.
It's only half of the original. The one for 2006 was the first one that came to the Improvement Authority, and it was done for the time period when the county owned it, was over $500,000.
So Golden is out right now.
Yes. They have withheld that money from Golden. And hence why Golden says, hey, you need to.
And to answer your question,
Make it
you're
right.
not getting any interest.
okay, I got a couple questions. The default, the county default. Now, is the county aware that they're in default? The bond covenants for, I'm asking this for y'all, the bond covenant because they've not completed their audit?
That would be a question for Katie. Katie Coleman, our CFO.
Right. We think that, well, no, we don't think, we know they're in
A
default.
correspondence was sent to the county.
Right, that's what I
What
want
was the response?
No.
to know.
When did you
Well,
send
she
it?
said they're working on it still,
Okay.
but they knew they weren't going to get it in by August 31st.
Okay.
They had to have it and received by July,
And
posted by August.
This is the bond, what?
That's your county audit. The bond, there's covenants, when you vote bonds, there's a covenant in there. One of the covenants is that you file your audit on a given time per state regulation. That's required to be filed on July 31st. If you don't file on July 31st, we didn't, I don't think we got ours in, we filed ours August 8th. No one hollers too much. When you get to be past August into September, then you have to notify the trustee that you're in default. And they tell you, we don't tell them, but we have to tell them, you know, and it starts to become tacky. And that goes on your record. That's like not paying your car loan on time. You know, if you're 2 days late and you start to get to be 2 months late, it starts to become an issue. So,
And Cross knew that, and now Laura knows it,
well, we sent a correspondence.
to the CFO.
It also went to the administrator.
Okay. So that's,
Critical condition right now.
okay, second question. Central Jersey, are they dumping with us?
I will have to look into that.
Remember I had asked that question? They're not?
No.
Have we lost a town? Has Central Jersey picked up a town and taken the trash out of the town?
From one that we've already had,
Yeah,
not that I'm aware of.
okay, that was my
I'll
question.
check on that, but
Well, it seems to me that we would know it immediately, right? If the town stopped dumping, you say, whoa, what happened? You
well,
would
there
know
was
that.
some sporadic activity over the holiday, which was a little weird, but I don't think that it's out of the norm at all.
Okay,
Uh-uh.
so we should keep a
We
tab
do,
on
we,
that.
we do, and that's why I'm saying I haven't seen any
Okay.
irregularities in
The
that.
reason is I saw their trucks coming through Woodstown
I'm not,
more than once.
I see them too,
And I said, what the hell are they doing down there?
probably a business,
You know, it don't make sense.
not a municipality in our county.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you keep tabs of that.
I,
Yeah.
I know that all of the municipalities and who they're contracting with, if they're not hauling it themselves.
Right,
And
I
it's not
understand
Central Jersey.
that. Yeah.
South Jersey Sanitation, City of Salem, but not
Where
Central.
they dumping, they're dumping on us, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
South Jersey Sanitation, but not Central
Yeah,
Jersey.
they went down Route 45, I see them, I go, where are they going? Yeah, whatever.
Huh.
It's just-
Yeah, the inspection of the parcel that the county's supposed to take care of, can you update us on that again?
I have no update from the county. We've sent over 2 notices, we brought it forward here. At this point in time, this land is owned by the county. It's a very small triangle parcel of property at Gateway Business Park. It does have the pesticide contaminated soil on it. The DEP required at the time the permits were issued for Gateway that there be biennial soil certification done to make sure there was no leachate or further pollution. In 2011 and in years prior, the Salem County Improvement Authority coordinated and conducted the biennial certification, sent the information over to the county. They completed the application, the county signed off on it, provided the permit fee, and reimbursed us for the consultants. We were initiating that activity again in April of this year, sent it over to the county, followed back up in June, followed back up in August, was brought here to this meeting in August, and I still don't have an answer.
Where is it
You're
sit?
saying biennial, right?
Yeah, it's to be done every 2 years.
Where does it sit in the county now? I mean,
It
in
has-
whose hands?
The last time it was told to me, and I honestly can't keep track of everything over there, it was in the attorney's hands.
Are you aware of the problem? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Over to Gateway Industrial Park, there's a small piece of ground. That land was all contaminated, peach orchard or something of that nature.
Arsenic problem, yeah.
Yeah, so whatever it was, I'm not sure. And when we had settlement, that was part of the deal. The county had to, every 2 years, send an engineer out there and check the soil. You know, in the past, we did it for the county, and the county reimbursed us. So this year, we said, you know, we get the notice, all right, let's do it. So we said, we sent a letter to the county and said, you want us to do it? And they said, we'll get back to you. And they're not back to us. The year's running out. So they're gonna get done. And tell you the truth, why we even bother with it?
Because we were the initial entity that did the improvements at Gateway.
Yeah,
And so everything, you know, from the paving of the road that was in our road, you know, fell into the.
Professional
improvement board. So
courtesy
it
and
was
it
just
benefits
what
the
we did.
community.
but I'm asking a rhetorical question.
Yeah,
What do we care?
I mean, I'm not used to dealing with
My
it.
only point is, I don't want it to come back to the improvement authority that this didn't get done and that we were dragging our feet. It has to be done, it's a DEP permit,
I understand.
so.
And with all the companies we deal with, when you're dealing with a $70 million company, you expect at least an answer, if not an action that benefits them. And it's just frustrating that the taxpayer is gonna end up paying for
Well,
this.
it's under the letter, right? If
Another letter,
anything you can do, yeah,
frustrating.
get somebody to, what are we talking about, dollars or cents?
Probably with the permit fee, which is, I think, $300, it's probably no more than a $3,000 project.
Yeah.
It's not a
Was
lot.
it 2,200 last time?
I want to say 21
Yeah.
for the engineer and then a
I-
I'll reach out to
$300
the
fee.
engineer, I mean, I'll reach out to, you know, our CFO on the other matter, and I'll reach out, you know,
Yeah,
maybe you're good people, they're certainly
yeah,
have a reason, I'm sure.
yeah. All right, so, send out a letter, I would suggest, you know,
Same
so
thing.
when the cops come, we say, go see them.
Well, query. Why don't we, you know, we send a letter, and we send a second letter, but what's, I know the phones still work,
I've made calls.
okay? And who do we talk to, what's their, I mean,
The
that way
last
you
call
get
that I
an
had was
immediate
with
answer.
Everin, and it's still with the attorney handling the issue. Now, I don't think it's my place to have to call the county's attorney to get an answer.
So who, I guess the question is, who tells you, who you call and who tells you as attorney? You call,
I will usually talk with the administrator unless I know it's a finance issue, in which case I'll go to Katie. And then, more times than not, if it's more than one call, the Freeholder liaison is copied on an email.
yeah, I mean,
Because there's,
whether
you
it's a
know,
letter,
issues pending.
phone call somewhere, at some point, is probably more effective.
Yeah.
Quicker to get to the.
It is,
Well,
but when you don't get
if
answers,
you
there's not a lot
recall-
of documentation on the phone.
In our last meeting, or the meeting before, we asked Dale Cross, there was half a dozen of these items, and he kind of cleaned up in no time. I was really surprised, it was boom, bang, boom, and then the, you know, checks came in and blah, blah, blah. So I think somebody just got to push a button and say, hey, get it done. We're not talking about $1 million here, we're not talking the simple letter, go ahead, purchase order, whatever they got to do, and call the engineer, and it's done, and, you know, and we spend more time on this little bullshit than we do real stuff, you know, but whatever, somebody go off. Any other questions of the executive director? Hearing none without objection, I'll order the report received and filed, hearing no objections, so ordered. What's next? Old business. Okay, what's that all about? We up, ready to do something with that?
We are ready. Okay, resolution 11-151, which was tabled November of 2011. These were the accounts, mostly from private patients at the nursing home, that when we ran the final accounting after the sale, still had a accounts receivable due to the nursing home, whether it be the county of Salem because of the date of incident. The reason that this was tabled in November of 11 is because we decided it would be in our best interest to at least attempt collections. And what we did to attempt collections is, the first thing we did was the Salem County Improvement Authority sent letters with bills and statements due. The second thing we did was follow up with a phone call if there was a patient account advocate or a next of kin. The third thing we did was we had Adam's office send out blanket letters from his office regarding accounts receivables. In some cases, we did receive payments from those steps along the way. In November of 11, I was asked to have a collections agency specializing in accounts receivable for nursing home look at each of these receivables to determine what was viable, why they were receivables in the system, and if there was an opportunity to collect, because there's some statute of limitations on some of these. To say that the data in the system was good data to begin with is pretty disheartening. I have, for every single one of these residents, the reason for our recommendation to cancel their obligation. Most of it is what I'll call aged receivables. A fair number of these receivable balances go to 5 years prior to the Salem County Improvement Authority even owning the nursing home. They were in the system, a patient, resident dies, there may be a balance due, there may or may not have been a final bill sent. In some cases, those families first noticed that a bill was still due was when we sent it to them in 2011. I met with a fair number of these families who were quite surprised that they had balances due. There seemingly was no policy at that nursing home to void any open balances or bring them forward for discharge or discussion. You would always have some level of write-offs every year. But that did not seem to be being done. A fair number also were not able to be reached through, despite efforts to touch base with whoever the next of kin was. And again, these in some cases go back to as far as 2001, is one of the earliest records that we were able to find. We did conduct audits of about 24 of these accounts. And when I say audits, the families who received the bill asked us for a full accounting of all funds that were paid to the Salem County Nursing Home from them, because in some cases they brought their own checks in to reconcile with our accounting systems. And in some cases you'll see that they were paid in full, closed, or that there was a late fee applied to the account, and that fee should not have been applied to the account. And therefore, it is our recommendation that those fees that were due should be closed. I feel at this point in time, even after we met with the consultant on this, and there was really only one account that they felt was worthy of further collections. We met with that family. It was because of the magnitude of the claim. The patient had deceased over 2.5 years ago. The family was in the process of settling the estate and felt that there might be some value to be able to make good on those bills. They actually came forward after we met with them with private insurance checks that had been paid to the Salem County Nursing Home but applied to the wrong account. They had been applied to a different patient's account. We were able to go back and reconcile the system. It was a $30,000 account. And that patient basically owed us $1,000 at the end, and they wrote the check out of the state. So I believe we've done our due diligence in attempting to collect our receivables in this manner. You want a full accounting, you basically, out of everything that's here, we're able to collect all of $12,301.65 with very little effort. That was from the letter writing campaign. Yes, this looks like a huge balance that we're going to be discharging, but it is more than just 1 year's worth. This goes back all the way, as I said, to 2001, and balances that were due from that period of time.
So
And some of it is people paid and just got put to the wrong thing.
Yes, and where we've been able to reconcile that, we did make those adjustments. They are not even appearing on here, because
Okay.
if they were able to bring us concrete proof that those accounts were paid in full, we adjusted them in the system and reran the reports. So this is now what's, basically left.
But some of them can still be that, if we was to track it.
Well, there's in some cases a portion of unpaid balance. They may have been able to reconcile $8,000 with us, but there's still another $2,000 that
Okay.
is unaccounted for.
Well, the odds are pretty good that those numbers are incorrect in terms of what people really owe us. He probably was misapplied. Somebody else may owe us money, right? We don't know about it. But the work involved, plus they had no charge-off system year after year. They didn't charge anything off.
I have not been able to find evidence that there was an annual charge-off.
So really what we're talking about is 12 years, 10 years of charge-off.
That doesn't mean they weren't going in and reconciling the accounts, but it did not look like there was a systematic, end of year or March of every year, here's how much is the age receivable from 2 years ago.
Record keeping was less than stellar. Less than stellar.
Less than stellar
It was like less if they had charged off on a yearly basis.
And by the way, it goes back to 20 years before that. There was no lien ever filed by the county in history against people who've been
Unpaid
involved.
balances.
I mean, basically, a private nursing home, they immediately file a lien, and if the person dies, in their person line, or not person line, they're in line to get some
The
money
state settles.
out of the state. Perhaps nothing. I mean, there's people who are in a nursing home are almost surely destitute because they're on Medicaid, 90% of them, so they can't have any money, or very little, okay? They could have a house, so yeah, you lean on them, and if there's a house in the estate, you get it, you know?
I think that we, whoever, have done our due diligence in trying to make that
Yeah.
collect what we could.
I don't think,
Let's move on.
I think the effort that we might put into it, like $5 is,
So I'll make a motion to move this resolution.
where's that?
Multiple counts, 11-151.
Is it still 11-151?
Yes, it's still the same resolution number.
A second.
Moved, second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, moved, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Take a deep gulp and move on.
Done with the nursing.
Where are we at? New business. Resolution to cancel voided check.
I'll make a motion.
A second.
Moved, second. Any question on the motion? Moved, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Good. Okay. Resolution establishing the fair and open process for the awarding professional service contract with Salem County Improvement Authority. This is the advertisement, correct, for the various positions.
Starts the process moving to update the request for proposals in the ads.
I'll make that motion.
Required by law. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moving second. Question on the motion?
Yeah, on the risk management consultant, is that a professional service?
It is, because we are with statewide, so we do the request for proposal, and we are required by statewide JIF to have a request, risk management consultant.
We don't pay them that,
They get their 6% fee,
but that's from statewide, it's not through us.
correct.
Well,
But we
they-
have to appoint them,
Yeah,
so
but
it's a
it would
professional
still be a
service to us.
contract through us. I will always do risk manager through Fair and Open because,
Well, it's fair and open, but as a professional.
yeah, because they have to have certain training, licensing, for expertise to do that kind of work.
And they are deriving compensation, albeit not directly from a check from the Improvement Authority, but because of our work. There's a fair amount of discussion, I think, going on at the state level about insurance.
If he wasn't professional, what would he be? If he wasn't professional, we wouldn't want him.
Well, is there a special certification for the risk management consultant?
I believe you're right. Well, got
I
something
believe
later
they
on.
have some sort of special education and, special expertise for that kind of work.
And I mean, it's the level of professional services.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but the definition talks about public contracts, law 4811 or something.
Well, let's assume that they weren't. How could you hire them at all?
Well,
Well, you have to
it doesn't have to be a professional service, that's all. Professional service avoids a lot of,
But I guess the question is, I mean, the contract isn't worth over 17.5 or.
yeah, so what do you need?
So what is that? Well, for fair and open. Well, yeah, you're right. So if it's not worth over 17.5, you don't have to do it through a fair and open.
Yeah, but it's been our policy to do the fair and open for any,
Yeah, this just calls it professional service, that's all. Yeah, I don't like the way professional services are awarded sometimes. I don't think they meet the standard of what's in the book. Sometimes. I mean, this one, I think, to me, is not health benefits broker.
Well, I think it lets everyone know that's out there that has the interest in, doing the work that we are engaging for their services and what our
But
expectations
it's
are
still engagement
relative to it.
to call them professional services, I think is.
Well, the only reason we really call anybody professional services to get around do away with bidding requirement,
in
right?
fact, we want to make sure that we follow bidding requirements. That's what we're doing.
Well, that's RFP, a little
Bid.
different.
Well,
A formal,
the same process. Not the advertising portion
It is
of
and it
it.
isn't. It's
Well,
but
it's telling everybody out there that we're looking for somebody and we get proposals.
But I think you're right in that, I mean, if it's not over 17.5, it's not necessary anyway, other than traditionally, I think we've always done it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, the question is, does it harm anything to go to that extent?
Yeah.
call the question.
Okay, so where were we at? We moved and seconded. Question on the motion. Any more questions on the motion? Hearing none, moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, what else? Correspondence, you all had the opportunity to list the correspondence. Any particular questions? Hearing none, without objection, I'll order all correspondence filed, received and filed, no objections, so ordered. Public comment, thanks, right?
One question.
I'm sorry.
In the correspondence, there was an offer request for Louis Ransom. He wanted some information about from somebody we were contracting with. And item 4 is no contract of services but there were no contract of services. There's a PO contract?
Yes, but we've issued no contractor
Sure.
services in 2013 for that.
No POs in 2013.
It would have been for 2012 work performed.
Okay. So we have some old ones. That's it.
Okay, any other questions? We already put that to bed, right? Correspondence is done. Public comment next. Entertain a motion to open up to the public.
So moved.
Moves, second. I'll second, move second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, you know our rules, ask one question, give up the floor to the multitude who are here. Go ahead. Anybody?
Oh, so much pressure. Okay, Ann Sullivan, Allaway Township. My first question, remembering, I'm sorry, was there an alternative and renewable energy report put forth, Chairman Ober,
What?
on standard committee reports?
Oh,
Did we get one on the alternative and
You want me to
renewable
do
energy report?
we didn't, did we?
We haven't had
Was
one.
there,
Oh, we haven't had one, we haven't had one yet.
I have a plan for professional service every year.
So
but I
no
don't think I
report.
should.
Yes, the report.
For my license.
That's it?
no, I have more.
Okay, any other body? Anyone? Hearing
I'll
none, you
yield
get a
to
second
yield to
question.
her.
Yeah, I don't think
There's no charge for that.
Okay, second question is, in the public, your packet, I can't determine the two different colors that are marked by cover material, tons and dollars. To me, both of those are the same. So which one is,
Good question.
The one with the deepest,
Hers not color.
the deepest peak happens to be the cover, revenue.
Oh, okay.
so the more exotic one
Yeah, that's one that
is
goes high.
cover
Yeah.
expense.
Right.
Okay. That's cover expense.
No, cover revenue.
That's
sorry.
revenue.
Cover
The one that
revenue.
goes up real high is revenue.
Okay, the one that goes real high is revenue.
It's under definitions.
The other one is, oh, that's, no, I'm sorry, the one that goes real high
Is revenue.
is revenue.
In other words, that's when we get slightly contaminated product or
Right margins is
or
our
fill
professional
that can
service.
be used for cover.
It's in definition.
We don't have to buy it. So when that goes up, the other one should go down.
Oh, okay, see, that's,
The reverse. Okay, number 3.
number 3. I'm looking at total landfill tonnage per month. Is there an actual number, the tonnage, actual total landfill tonnage, is there a number?
For the year or for the month?
Yeah, I can't quite, it's in between 10,000 and 12,000, is
Yeah.
that a number?
Yeah,
Can I answer that?
yeah, sure.
10,580.77.
10,580.77, and that's actually for the prior month, right?
August, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can't do September one's not done yet.
That's the highest since September 11.
That's for it. And that's it?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? No, hearing none? Oh, yes, sir.
Uh,
Sorry.
Back, and this is pretty much where the dam since it's already been passed, but you have age balance, which means these are discharged because they're aged out of collectability.
Yeah, there's three different categories as to why those balances would be discharged. The first series of numbers there is, they're not reachable. We can't track them down anymore unless we send a private eye after them. The second one was the fees that are being waived. And the third one that you're questioning is their age. They're well over 2.5 years old now. And each one of those has a further notation that I can't release publicly because of HIPAA, that talks about the discussions with the family or what the nature of the adjustment would be.
So it's past the time of collection.
It's, yeah, of a reasonable collection.
On the first one, I did notice that out of, there's 70 different line items that you're crediting, 5 of those represent half of it. It would be, I don't know if anybody on the board knows this history between those 5, but certainly if you're looking at $100,000 for about $150,000, 5 of them, it would be interesting to know.
Well,
You can just concentrate on 5 rather than 70, it would certainly.
there was one that I knew of, because when we operated the nursing home, there was only one, take it back, there was 3 that were active and had a meat home. And Adam, you worked on that one, I forget, I don't even know if I want to state the name. Remember the one that used to go up to $60,000, $70,000, and they would pay it down?
Yeah, vaguely, I do.
Yeah, and that one was paid off, I believe. But by and large, you know, the only reason somebody didn't pay is because they died. That was, you know, people generally don't leave the nursing home any other way. They might move, you know, their family moves to Texas or something, they move on, but basically.
I'm just saying, it's you can't go after 70, it's unwieldy.
Yeah,
But to look at the 5 that represent over half of it is.
That's why we had that special firm that specialized in collections for nursing home look at each one of them. Obviously, they saw the whole list, but
Sure.
their cutoff was, let's look at anything 5,000 and above because there might be some substance to that.
Good way to do it.
And then, you know, at 10,000, let's do this, and at 15,000, let's do this. And as I said, each one of them has some significant notation about what they were able to find as they pursued that.
What do you do when it's 53,000?
You want an answer?
by the way, some of these were private pay and some were insurance companies. The insurance companies, the problem was
Yeah, they didn't adjust
tracking down the right file, the right, and we did collect quite a bit of that.
But this, and the total is not, you know, $300,000 in a business that's doing that kind of work over years is not unusual.
No.
But
But,
is a big one. How could he incur that much? I get it.
oh yeah, I mean,
But, you know, and my business too. I mean, you don't look at the small ones so much as you just pick out the big ones and.
every year I, you know, I say I'm 212 hours, 89 hours.
It's not worth your effort.
Yeah, right. Some of them are good customers. Matter of fact, there are ones I write off. I just aggravate them. Guy gives you $50,000 worth of bills a month, and you call him about an $89 bill, he goes, throw you out, you know.
Okay, and you've already passed it, so it's kind of where the damn type thing anyway.
Yeah, and again, it's not that we threw it out, we worked on it, and we had that outfit come in, and they did well, and Lancaster was well respected in the industry, and basically, we did it methodically, we said, you know, the $10 ones, we ain't worried about that, how about these big babies up here? Let's shoot at them. And basically, the estate is the only way you get
Yes,
it.
Dad.
There was just a notation in that particular line item. That patient had passed away 4 years prior. We had no proof, and they had no proof that there had ever been a final bill issued to them. So we did meet with that family to go over that balance due, because it looked very significant. And we were able to track back that there was some, albeit not anywhere of that amount, of private insurance that had been allocated to a trust fund that was set up separate from the patient account. We left it in the trust because it was set up obviously for a different accounting reason, and we had no way to go back and determine why that was set up as a trust as opposed to a separate patient account. But it did look like a portion of that had been received but in a trust. So, but nowhere near 53.
Okay, so, what have we done? We're,
Closing the public portion.
there, yeah, I know we're somewhere. No more, okay. Motion,
closed.
second? Move second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Public portion is closed. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
No executive session needed?
I don't think so.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.